This program is brought to you by the IPC and the Uruk Cultural Heritage Foundation. Due to the strange happenings caused by the imaginary Holy Grail War, humanity's oldest king of heroes, Gilgamesh, has lost the key of the king's law, the master key to his treasury. As a result, numerous treasures of the king have scattered far and wide. In this episode of Keeping Up with Star Rail, we shall assist in this search for the lost items and take a glimpse at the king of heroes, Gilgamesh! Lately, I received an extremely unusual assignment to locate the lost treasures of the Gate of Babylon. With so many treasures needed to be found, I don't even know where to begin. That's why I've invited a very special guest today, someone uniquely qualified to help us make sense of it all. Please welcome the Intelligentsia Guild Zone Scholar, Dr. Ratio!
Hello, everyone.
I heard that you found a treasure too. Let me take a look. Bulwarker, huh? That's just a workout bar. Though I have to admit, it suits you surprisingly well. As for the puzzle of tracking down the king's treasures, do you have any elegant solutions for us?
If today's task is to recover the treasures lost by the King of Heroes, then the first step is not to search, but to define. Until you understand how that king determines value, you won't even be able to compile a complete inventory of what's been lost.
I see. So finding treasures isn't the crux here. We should figure out exactly what this king regards as treasure.
He's bound to answer. Authority, order, and a king's judgment. At the end of the day, it's up to his whims. Whatever he likes is considered treasure.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to get to know this king better before I start searching for those treasures. Yeah, Gilgamesh is a damage-dealing lightning character following the path of destruction. For a king who has lived through the ancient times to this day, battles are just a way to spice up his long life. Word has it that he can crush ordinary enemies easily. He only uses the Gate of Babylon with opponents he deems powerful enough. When using his basic attack, Gilgamesh deals a certain amount of lightning damage to one enemy. When using his skill, Gate of... Yeah? Why isn't my keyboard working? I can't use a skill!
A king won't be ordered around by mere mortals. I'm acquainted with many kings, and he's the most arrogant of them all. However, he doesn't understand that misjudgment of the mediocre is the most precious variable in the world.
When Gilgamesh is not in the interest-peaked state, he automatically uses his basic attack during his turn. He's not using his skill because he isn't taking the fight seriously.
Well, your next task is to figure out how to pique his interest.
When other allies take action, Gilgamesh gains interest, which increases his speed. When interest reaches a certain amount, Gilgamesh enters the interest-peaked state. In this state, Gilgamesh can only use his skill, and the state lasts for the entire battle. After using his skill, his interest is cleared. After unlocking a specific trace, Gilgamesh gains interest whenever any ally uses their ultimate. In addition, whenever another character uses an ultimate, Gilgamesh recovers a certain amount of energy. When his interest is finally peaked, that's when we'll be able to witness the king's skill. When using his skill, Gilgamesh deals lightning damage to one designated enemy and adjacent targets. Gilgamesh also gains King's Acknowledgement, allowing him to ignore a certain amount of the target's defense when dealing damage for a number of turns.
If he's willing to use the Gate of Babylon in battle, that means he's acknowledged his opponent's strength.
But the true intimidation of a king comes from the ultimate, a Numa Elish. When using his ultimate, Gilgamesh uses his anti-world noble phantasm to split the sky and earth. This deals lightning damage to all enemies. Meanwhile, with his talent, if other ally characters use their ultimate, the king gains the King's Burden effect, and damage dealt by ultimate increases. This lasts for a set number of turns. After unlocking a specific trace, the interest Gilgamesh gains can also increase his critical damage. There is an upper limit to this effect.
For a king, a battle that lives up to his expectations gives him the utmost pleasure.
When both Saber and Gilgamesh are present, and they've collectively launched a certain number of attacks, Gilgamesh will join Saber in a joint follow-up attack, dealing wind and lightning damage to all enemies. After, Gilgamesh gains a certain amount of interest, while Saber regenerates energy and increases the damage of her next ultimate. You call that a joint attack? Looks more like joint all-out destruction. Aren't they old acquaintances?
Old acquaintances can be defined in many ways.
After using his technique, Gilgamesh creates a special dimension. Once enemies stumble into this special dimension, they enter the king's permission state and stop all their actions. Attacking enemies in this state to enter combat can cause all enemies in this state to enter combat as well. This also deals lightning damage to all enemies, and interest is granted.
Permission never means graciousness with him. It's just another word for his dominance.
All right, let's sum things up as a king. Gilgamesh's core mechanic primarily involves accumulating speed-boosting interest through his talent to enter the interest peak state. Once in this state, he can suppress enemies by continuously using his skill. His skill grants King's acknowledgement, which allows him to break enemy defenses with subsequent attacks. When teammates use their ultimate and grant King's burden, Gilgamesh's ultimate damage increases continuously. Then, add in the critical damage bonus provided by his traces, and the joint attack was saved from his talents. Once the King of Heroes gets serious, enemies have only one line left in the script. That's a wrap!
That's why I told you getting to know this King of Hero standards is the first step to sorting out his lost items. In his eyes, these items are deemed treasures, not only because they're valuable, rather they've gained the King's acknowledgement, the King's permission, and are seen as the King's burden.
All right, that's it for this episode. Seems like there's still a long way to go in retrieving the King's scattered treasures. I will work with everyone to locate these treasures. See you in the next episode. Huh? Who's texting me this late at night? Emergency retrieval notice on lost items from the Gate of Babylon? Urik's lost and found assistance list. Inventory list number 1? Seriously? I just made a casual comment about helping with locating the items, and it's my job now? I don't think that's how the law works.
You mentioned assisting in the search and locating the lost items multiple times during the program. As for the law, he would no doubt tell you that the King's very existence is the law itself.
How come my MC lines automatically become a legally binding employment contract? And stop writing legal codes in the middle of my show!
I agree wholeheartedly with you. However, this otherworldly visitor won't take your words as mere rhetoric. All the best with the new job. As for me, I'm clocking out.